לפני כ-20 שנה נפגשתי כאן עם המאסטרו יוסטוס פרנץ לצורכי עבודה, צרכים מוזיקליים, ואז לא בכוונה אמרתי לו משהו על פטריות הכמהין. מהרגע שאמרתי פטריות כמהין לא היה יותר מוזיקה. הוא נדלק לעניין הזה, ועכשיו אנחנו נספר ביחד את המשך הסיפור. שלום מאסטרו.
שלום.
I was telling about the mushroom, about the truffle, that we met 20 years ago, and just by the way, I said to you, there are some truffles and my cousin, and then what happened?
Well, we went to the Weizmann Institute, and we got the truffles. I brought them to the Canaries. Everything was fine with oak trees and what you need in order to plant truffles. But then somebody came and planted eucalyptus, and then everything was over.
Yeah, but let's start again from the beginning. You came from music. You were very busy, jet-lagged, rehearsing, no time for anything. And as soon as I said truffles, suddenly you had all the time in the world. You are a nature lover? This is your real baby?
Yes, it's one of my real babies. It's nature. And I try to bring new things to the Canaries. New grapes.
Why the Canaries? Our viewers don't know that.
I'm living there. I'm having a farm, a real farm, but also a theater there. Yeah, and that's very beautiful.
And these mushrooms and the other trees you schlepped with you were in big plants, so you had to pay a lot of overweight.
I think I tried to smuggle.
And then the Spanish authorities let you bring all those?
Oh, I didn't ask them. You know, when you ask, then you get answers. So I didn't want an answer.
So you planted it in the Gran Canaria?
On my ground. Mm-hmm.
And then after 1, 2, 3 years?
1, 2, 3 years came the Spanish gardeners. You know, I'm not always there, and they planted eucalyptus. And they grew fantastically, but apparently also because they were mushrooms.
So you have no truffles. Now you must buy it and pay a fortune.
I would love to do it again.
Okay, so let's go to the Weizmann Institute and ask
Yes.
for more mushroom, more truffles.
Please.
We would like to start with a clip from your home in the Gran Canaria. Can you tell us a little bit more about your home there?
Well, I was forced to make something when I'm getting older, and I thought it would be the best security, assurance, to have a farm. And also I love farms, and we were refugees. We never had our own territory and ground, and so I did it also for my parents, that they were able to feel here we are at home.
And in the Gran Canaria, Mother Nature is celebrating, is like your own paradise.
It's wonderful when you have water. It's practically very seldom raining. And so what you have first to provide is water. But then it's wonderful.
So we can witness a little bit the atmosphere, the greenery in spite of all, and the music making of Brahms.
Yes.
It's really wonderful. As I was saying, your own paradise.
This is true because every tree, every bush, every plant I have planted myself.
You say not enough water, and I suppose that also in Beersheba and Beersheba there is not too much water.
Yeah, but in Beersheba there's not too much water. This is true. And I find the future of this country will be also the solution of water. Definitely, because the Negev, I mean, when you bring water there, it could be also very fruitful,
so you are in Beersheba?
Yes.
Since
13 months, and I love the orchestra. I love the city. It's a young city. It's a vital city, and we already. I think we had some great moments in our collaboration with the orchestra, Israel Sinfonietta.
You are not only conducting, you are the artistic director, which means a lot of responsibility.
Well, I have a wonderful cooperation with Ofer Zela, and they try to take some of my responsibilities.
Beethoven's Fifth Symphony, conducted by Justus Frantz and Beersheba Orchestra, is our next clip. Do you want to say something? Beethoven Fifth.
I mean, Beethoven Fifth is always a big thing, and if you don't give any, 1, 2, 3, da-da-da-da, or something like this, but you start only with one beat, and it must be as convincing that everybody is understanding.
But that's a miracle, because they must not start with your beat. They must start
after.
One pulse later, one beat later. So
yeah, just one.
How does it happen?
Nobody knows. And everybody had his own tempo, Everybody, one thinks Beethoven is da-da-da-da, like Furtwängler. The next one is like Toscanini, da-da-da-da. And then you come and you do it, and suddenly they must be convinced that this is the right thing.
Is it convincing from the first rehearsal, or?
When the orchestra knows you, yes.
I always thought that if it's not good enough in take one, it will never be good.
This can be, because you must be secure and you must trust, and there are others also. And if the trust is disturbed, then it's a big difficulty.
Trust at first sight, because if it's not together, then next rehearsal you rehearse it, and then you correct the corrections, and then correct the corrections of the correction, in the concert.
And it might be not as good as you wanted. Yeah.
So better first time.
Yes.
Take one. So let's watch. This was not take one, I'm sure. This was well rehearsed. Your fifth. Justus, you are not only a great conductor and a pianist, but also a founder of many projects, festivals, orchestras. Tell him a little bit about the Symphonie der Nation. Is it the right
Philharmonie
name?
Der Nation.
Philharmonie der Nation.
Well, as you know, I was the founder of the Schleswig-Holstein Music Festival, and then I stepped down, and all the musicians came with me, and suddenly I had an orchestra, but we had no concerts because, of course, the festival was over. And then I started to give them future, to give them life, to give them bread or whatever, and we started with this orchestra. And the name of the orchestra, I remember Lenny Bernstein and I, on a breakfast after the fall of the wall in Berlin, we decided, what can we do as musicians for peace? And we said, and this would be the right name to bring the symbol of peace into the hearts of the people.
Die Philharmonie der Nation.
Yeah, Philharmonie der Nation.
Yeah. What a beautiful name. Yeah. So you are conducting Beethoven 9th Symphony, and right now you are rehearsing the same 9th Symphony with your orchestra here in Beersheba.
Yes. You know that the Philharmonie der Nation in Berlin was the official orchestra, not Berlin Philharmonic,
yeah.
but to bring it as UNESCO World Heritage. This was one of the first musical pieces to come into this, and now we are doing it here in Beersheba, and it is a great joy, and it's very fast, I have to say. I didn't think that after one rehearsal already we have a new sound.
When you say great joy, you could not choose a better word, the order for the joy.
Yeah.
So the end of this symphony, and we would like to watch a clip from your conducting, but with your old symphony, the old orchestra, the Philharmonie der Nation.
Yeah, which I still have.
Justus, and after the performance, there is another music that we musicians love almost as much as the sounds of Beethoven, and this is the claps. How long were those claps after your ninth? Do you remember?
I remember it was an official concert, so, you know, there were a lot of ministers and our chancellor, and then it's always a little bit less, but actually I have to say something. You said it's as much loved as the music. This is not true. Actually, it's always also a moment, a sad moment, because you were in heaven doing music and suddenly it's over. So it's a moment of departure, of ending, which I don't like so much.
Yeah, which is life. By the way, you know that in the kibbutzim in Israel, once upon a time, they used to remain silent, not to clap.
This is wonderful.
Yeah, and Yasha Heifetz, when he first came to Israel and he played in a kibbutz and there was complete silence, he was confused.
And you know that Pablo Casals in Prague, it was completely forbidden to applause, but they were sitting 2 minutes, 5 minutes, and this was the applause.
But that was in a church.
This was in a church.
So clapping in a church is
now, it's quite common to do so. But in that time it was...
I noticed that in Germany people clap for the orchestra rather more than for the soloist. In many countries it's the opposite. If a pianist plays, he gets a lot of applause. In Germany, the orchestra, after the concert is over, 5 minutes for the trumpet,
and they're
for the
getting
flutes.
Up, they're standing, they're screaming. Yeah, this is absolutely true. And sometimes they also are clapping between the movements. And this is, some people think snobbish, this is impossible to do. But in fact, in the time of Beethoven, they always did it. Even Beethoven, at the second movement of the Ninth Symphony, had to start again because the emperor took his head and for the percussion, for the timpani solo, he said, "Bravo, Beethoven!" So they stopped.
You mentioned your friendship with Lenny.
Yes.
Tell us a little bit.
Well, we started our friendship with the Dvorak piano concerto.
Which is not often performed.
No, and which is a wonderful piece with this great theme.
So it was Lenny Bernstein, of course, who asked you to play Dvorak, or you proposed it to him?
No. He heard me, apparently, with this. I did, with the minor orchestra in Germany, I did this concerto. And I said, "Oh, it's a wonderful music. I never have heard it. I want to do it with Justus."
So this is the beginning of great friendship, and then you invited him for your festival.
Oh, then in the meantime we did a lot of other things, but yes, but then...
He was a permanent visitor of the Schleswig-Holstein Festival because of that famous friendship.
Yes, and we did, before we started with the Schleswig-Holstein Music Festival, we did also with the Vienna Philharmonic the Schumann Concerto, and also a nice movie, and then he came every year regularly. And, of course, it helped a lot, because he was the hero in that time in Germany, and people came from all over. They couldn't believe that these artists were playing in little villages.
I have good news for you. He remains the hero everywhere, not only in Germany. He is the one and only. But speaking about the one and only, I would like to mention another, the one and only, and his name is Karajan.
Yes.
And we would like to watch a clip of yourself playing Mozart concerto for 3 pianos, but 3 pianos, you need 3 pianists. So who are the other pianists?
One is Christoph Eschenbach, and then, this is the sensation, Herbert von Karajan himself plays the 3rd piano, and it's the only clip you can see him playing the piano.
Quite well.
Yeah.
But number 1 is you. So you are the first? Christoph?
No, Christoph is number 1. I'm playing, I think, the 2nd, which sometimes we change. And but the 2nd is the most difficult because it's the Mozart piano.
Yeah. And Karajan is the 3rd and conducting with great authority.
Yes.
Justus, I know that you are a great Mozart lover, and we would love to ask you to play for us a little tune by Mozart, your most beloved tune by Mozart.
One of the themes I know since 60 years. I have the Iron Wedding already.
Justus, I know that in spite of your conducting and other activities, you are in a fantastic pianistic shape, and I would like you to dare and play an etude by Chopin. Is it possible?
Oh, goodness. In front of such a great pianist like you, of course I can do it, but it's cruel.
Justus, it was fantastic. Thank you, and thank you very much for being with us. ולצופים אני רוצה רק להגיד שבאומן הנפש של הילד זה הדבר הנהדר ביותר. מישהו שהוא משחק עם המוזיקה, שהוא משחק עם כל דבר שהוא אוהב לעשות, וכשהוא רואה פטריות כמהין, הוא שוכח את הכל, והוא נמשך כי באותו רגע זה מה שהוא רוצה. כזה הוא האומן האמיתי.